"I'm sorry, sir, but you'll need to move to economy." The flight attendant's voice was polite but detached, as if she weren't speaking to someone's grandfather, but just solving a seating issue. The elderly man looked up, puzzled. He was already buckled into his business class seat, hands resting neatly in his lap. His suit was rumpled, his tie slightly crooked, but there was pride in his posture, measured, composed. "I believe this is my seat," he said quietly, lifting his boarding pass with a faint tremble in his fingers. "There's been a reassignment," she replied flatly. "We're overbooked. Someone else purchased the full fare. Please come with me. No apology, no sympathy, just policy, just a system that didn't see his age, his history, or the quiet strength in his expression." Slowly, he unbuckled. Around him, passengers looked away. One mumbled, "Guess money talks." Another let out a low laugh. He didn't respond. He only reached for his weathered leather bag, worn, tagged from decades of travel, and began the slow walk to the back of the plane. But 5 rows back, a teenage boy nudged his mother. "Mom, isn't that the guy from the ceremony on TV?" Her eyes widened. She gave a slow nod, and they weren't alone. 2 rows over, a man in a tailored suit lowered his newspaper. Across the aisle, a veteran in uniform straightened in his seat, gaze sharp, because this wasn't just any man. This was Colonel Charles Everett, decorated Air Force pilot, Vietnam War survivor, distinguished Flying Cross recipient, and only weeks ago, honored for 50 years of humanitarian missions, flights flown into war zones, hurricanes, and hopeless situations, saving countless lives not from behind a desk, but from the cockpit. And now he was being sent economy like misplaced luggage until fate stepped in. The cockpit door swung open. Out walked the pilot, all composed silver insignia on his chest and purpose in his stride. He scanned the cabin until he found the older man in the aisle. His voice rang out, clear and commanding. "Is there a reason Colonel Charles Everett isn't in his assigned seat?" The plane went silent. The attendant stiffened. "Captain, there was a ticketing issue. He was reassigned." The pilot raised a hand. "Stop." Then he walked over to Charles Everett, standing before him with unmistakable reverence. "Sir," he said, voice tight with emotion, "I'm Captain Rhee Wallace. You flew with my father in 1971, over Laos. He told me the only reason he made it home was because of you." Charles blinked, eyes misty. "David Wallace." "Yes, sir." The pilot nodded. "You carried him out when his bird went down." He always said if I ever meet Charles Everett, I stand at attention and shake his hand, and that's exactly what he did. Captain Wallace stood tall, saluted, and extended his hand. The cabin erupted in applause. Then the captain turned to the flight attendant. "Whoever took this seat, move the to mine. I'll fly this plane from the jump seat if I have to." "Colonel Everett stays here." Charles tried to decline quietly. "Son, that's not necessary." But the pilot smiled. "With all due respect, sir, it absolutely is." The business class passenger who'd taken the seat stood wordlessly. The flight attendant mumbled an apology, and the pilot personally escorted the colonel back to his seat. As he sat, applause swelled. Some passengers stood. One man reached over and whispered, "Thank you for your service." A woman nearby touched his hand and said, "You deserve more than this seat. You deserve a monument." But Charles only offered a humble smile. "I was just doing my duty." Before stepping back into the cockpit, Captain Wallace turned one last time and gave a sharp, respectful salute. The rest of the flight was quiet, but hearts were full, and when they landed, no one rushed off. Dozens waited to let the colonel exit first. Some asked for photos, not for clout, but to remember the moment dignity returned to a man who never asked for thanks. Charles Everett didn't chase medals, applause, or recognition. But that day, he received something more powerful than a headline. He was given honor, and every person who witnessed it was reminded. Heroes don't demand attention. They carry time, humility, and silence like a shield.